Turf Talk with Drew Miller.
On this week's episode, we have two industry professionals from the great states of North and South Carolina, Mr. Greg Burgess and Robbie Miller, two individuals who invited me down to be a part of the Southeast Regional Sports Turf Conference, which truly was an incredible experience with some of the best people in this industry, and to be able to go down, connect, network, and be a part of a great panel discussing the future of our industry, where we can find them, how we're going to be able to bring in that next generation, and just how we can reach more people. And I think it really opened a great conversation among sports field managers from the Southeast that truly is needed and definitely will have a huge impact moving forward, whether it's building more programs like ours or working to develop new ways of recruiting individuals into this industry. There's just so many incredible things that we can do, and we were able to really tackle those things in our conversation on the panel, and great things have come from it. Being able to talk with industry professionals even weeks after now about what can be done, how we can improve, and just overall how our industry needs this and how we can build. I can't thank Greg and Robbie enough for everything they've done, obviously taking into account the need and the areas that we can improve upon. We also dive into their own stories about how Greg has been a generational sports field manager, and being able to set roots in Greenville with the drive and being able to grow in his own space and just have a great impact on so many sports field managers in the Southeast. And then Robbie and his journey and how he found his way to Charlotte. And it just is an awesome episode with two incredible people that I truly can't thank them enough for taking the time and inviting me down to meet with them and just get to know them, and be able to have them on the podcast was an awesome experience, and being able to do a recap of the event and everything was, I think, incredible. Robbie is running for election for the National SFMA board, so be sure to vote before the poll runs out. Again, someone who's a great leader in this industry that can really take it to new heights, and we really can't thank them both enough for coming on the podcast. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode of Tiger Turf Talk. Welcome back to the 102nd episode of Tiger Turf Talk. I'm your host, Drew Miller. Today we have on two incredible guests from the Southeast region. We have Mr. Greg Burgess, the VP of Stadium and Field Operations for the Greenville Drive. And we have Mr. Robbie Miller, Director of Landscape and Athletic Grounds at Providence Day School, somewhere in North Carolina, I believe. And that's where I botched it. See, we almost got there. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great. Thank you.
Doing good, Drew. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so the reason I brought you guys on together, obviously you guys are a big part and big proponent of the education and just the overall operations of the Southeast Regional Sports Field Conference. I apologize. And I was lucky enough to be invited by you guys, which again, I can't thank you enough because I had an absolute blast. And again, there's just a great core of sports field managers down there. If you guys could sort of talk to what the process is like, sort of putting this show on as you have for many, many years now, at such a high level of every aspect of what a conference can be.
Greg, do you want to start? I mean, you have the hardest part, in my opinion, which is the education.
Yeah, well, first, I mean, we finished our 16th year. Was that right, Robbie?
Yeah, somewhere around there. I believe South Carolina STMA had a couple early conferences without North Carolina at some point. I want to say around 2008 or 2009, the group came together that has become the core group that we work with now. They came together and started a larger conference that I think, Greg, was 30 people the first year at the Caravel, and we've grown to, we had 230 attendees, not counting corporate partners this year. So
yeah, they definitely all start to run together now that we're there at the DoubleTrees having these bigger numbers. But yeah, like you said, Robbie, we started back years ago at the Caravel up the beach, and that's back when my dad was involved, and I just kind of helped being the errand guy on those days and making sure everyone got where they needed to be and ate where they needed to eat, and everyone got fed. But even from the get go, we always had great response out of people. The people that got there, they loved it. They really enjoyed coming down, and talking just sports turf. And in our part of the industry, our world, and that just kind of snowballed into more people and more interest, and then we ultimately came together with North Carolina, and they were always involved really with the conference, and we were able to put a name on it and think bigger and better, and we've looked at a lot of different places down there, and we settled there at the Doubletree Hilton, and man, it's just been growing, and it's awesome to see that many people come together every November. That's the best time of the year, really, in my opinion, and a lot of folks think that it rivals, a national type conference, and that's what we were always going for. We were wanting to get good content out there, but with a lot of value. You're coming down, you're getting fed, you got a good place to stay, and it's all right there, and it's just a good fit. It's a good trip for everybody.
Yeah, and the Doubletree's been a great partner for us the last couple years. Our first year, I believe, was there in 2017. We had that hurricane that came through and it wiped out the pier and did a lot of damage to the I can't remember the name of the wing that we're in, but it did a lot of damage to that wing, and so we had to move over to the older wing, and they were able to accommodate us despite some adversity. And from there, they've been a great partner. We've been able to grow the trade show space down on the first floor, the education spaces that we've grown into breakout rooms, and then obviously, like Greg said, the food that we get is it's pretty great for the value that we're putting on for the conference. So
Absolutely. It was incredible, all levels, and bringing in such big names when it comes to not speaking about myself. Again, I appreciate you guys having me. I'm talking about the Dr. Henrys and the Dickersons and all the incredible people in this industry. And you brought such great content to what's specific to, again, every sports field manager has and deals with. Obviously, Greg, you're in charge of the education. What do you sort of frame your work around when it comes to, all right, we need to put all this together? What are you looking for, and how far out from the conference are you really starting to plan when it comes to, obviously, 3 days worth of education for sports field managers?
So from every conference, we, at the end of it, if you came and you're there to the end, we'll do a survey. We'll do a survey that's on site there, and sometimes we follow it up with the online survey, just getting a pulse of the group. What you liked, what you didn't like. And the survey goes into education and hotel and food. So we're getting a good pulse on everything, just so know what we're doing good and bad, and what we could do better at. But from that survey, it comes what topics guys want to listen to. What's out there, and I'm pretty involved in the minor league world, but I don't really get out past that. So I don't know, some of the state of the art stuff, and front of the line, like I'm not really seeing offhand, and not really networking as much as I could. But we get a lot of topics from those, and then after the first of the year, when we have those, we start having calls with the education committee, and we just start brainstorming. Let's go through these topics, and let's see what folks want to hear. But then also, a lot of people at the conferences and at national, they have conversations. They've heard about Myrtle Beach and they want to come and talk. And well, those are great. Anybody that wants to come and talk, like they just got to make sure they're getting a hold of us and letting us know, because we want that content. We want guys not just from right here in the Carolinas, but from afar, because we want to be able to pull outside of our region, not just in it. And it takes a long time. It starts really in, I would say, probably February, March is when we're really starting to formulate like what the conference is going to look like, what content we want to go, what kind of gears we want to go towards, and we just kind of go from there and try to get people on the hook and hold them to it for the next 6 months, and hopefully they all show up on time.
Well, yeah, you had a couple of the guys driving last minute flight cancellations and all that. So, you guys do a great job of making sure that they're ready to go, Robbie, more a question for you. Obviously, not many people are doing what you guys are doing down there when it comes to the conference itself. What has been sort of the driving force to be bigger and do things better and create something that, again, every single guy I talk to down there that I'm friends with that I met were just like, oh, we love doing this. This is just an annual thing that we love. And really it had that feel, like you guys were saying, that national event, like it had the same feel of like that family, the camaraderie, coming together and talking about what you guys are up to and all these different things. What is it on the ground floor for you, just developing everything for the actual event, having that partnership with the DoubleTree? What has it been like for you guys? I mean, just getting that set up.
I mean, like Greg said, that our attendees drive what we're doing. And we're so fortunate that each year we've had support from our attendees and our corporate sponsors to keep pushing us to be better and to keep pushing us to grow. We've had a few adversities along the way. We used to do a partnership with the Golf Course Association, and it was a tough decision when we decided to kind of go out on our own. It was a scary decision. I wasn't, a part of that decision, but from the outset of it. But, the guys that envisioned this to grow, the Bill McLemores, the Tommy Walstons, the Bruce Suddas, Jimmy Simpson, Clark Cox, I'm sure I'm going to miss a few people, but those guys envisioned, a regional conference that would grow and pull from the states around us. It's something that is still our goal. And it's something, again, that our attendees drive. And I think as you see a little bit from the events that you were at, the camaraderie, like you spoke about, this has become a destination that people want to, see their friends that they've made down here, and they want to come and learn together, and they want to come and support our scholarship golf tournament. We give 4 scholarships out to the state of North Carolina and South Carolina, our attendees and our members from each state. So really, it all goes back to that. It goes back to our founders and the great vision that they had to put on a truly, the biggest regional conference that we could for sports field managers.
Which you guys did a phenomenal job, as always. Now, another thing that, again, like you're talking about the founders, their vision, just sort of everything that goes into it, and how you've come to today. There are a lot of behind the scenes things that go on that many people don't know about. Obviously, decisions, very critical, important aspects. And there's this I think, honestly, there's a theme around sort of most things sports field, and whether it's conferences, whether that's the field of work, other people, there's this new generation sort of coming in. And obviously you guys are doing a phenomenal job, and you're a part of that sort of new generation that are those founders that are sort of passing the torch, like moving on and doing your own thing. Is there any plans for the future that you guys have that you really think will take it to the next level, or something that you want to do a little differently that you think would make it easier, better? And again, you don't have to change anything. I'm just curious sort of like what your guys' thoughts are on all of that.
I think it's something we evaluate each year. We look at mistakes that we made, and, we do make them. We make quite a few. Hopefully they're not too
No one
noticeable.
notices them. No one notices
Hopefully
them
not.
at all.
But it's really, we kind of look at what's the driving force. I'll let Greg speak to the education, but we kind of look to see what's the driving force in the industry. What do our surveys tell us? Where do people want us to take it? We can't stress enough, I don't want to sound repetitive, but it's what our attendees are looking for, is what we want to move towards. And, again, we want to make this a regional destination. We'd love to get more people from Virginia. We'd love to get more people from Georgia. This year we had pesticide credits for Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. And, that's moving in that direction to offer more pesticide credits for different states is one of the things that we're looking to grow with. Again, it comes back, like I said, to what people want to do. Do we want more networking events? Then let's look at that. Let's see where we can add more networking events. What do our corporate sponsors want to see? Do they want to have more trade show events where they can be in front of more of the people that help support them? So, it's really a collaborative effort. We get together, like Greg said, starting in February, and our committee kind of gets together. We review where we were at, and as a group, we kind of decide where we'd like to go for that year and try something new and see if it works. And if it doesn't, then, we'll go back to the drawing board. And if it does, you'll see us expand on it. So,
yep. Yeah, we definitely we get a lot of feedback from vendors as well. How they orchestrate that whole week, what they see we can make better. certain areas, different sponsorship opportunities that could be out there, of different networking engagements. Sometimes, content goes into like baseball or, mound rebuilds. And I know that we've done some of those like in the trade show space. And we've kind of gone back to more of a classroom type of setting on those advanced workshops. But, we're always looking for new areas right there around Myrtle Beach that we can get out and actually be out on the field and see some hands-on demonstration. So again, any feedback we get from folks, anyone that goes to national, national is always a good draw to go there and see, what are the topics about. We don't necessarily want to like replicate exactly the talks that they're doing there, but we can get some sort of variation of it, and or that kind of sparks interest in some other areas that, hey, let's maybe talk to these folks out in Ohio or California and see what they're doing and bring them in. And just trying to pull as many people as we can. And maybe it stays a regional thing, but we really just want to focus on making it regional, reaching out to these other states. And we're hoping us getting some good content out of Tennessee, University of Tennessee and University of Georgia. Like they're eat up with tons of different topics and information that we're going to use. And hopefully that's going to start pulling some of their chapter members and coming down to our way,
Absolutely. Now membership is a big thing, and truly, I mean, I know many guys out of North Carolina, South Carolina, and they're incredible people. And obviously there are so many great people that are a part of the board and part of the different groups and everything that goes into this event. What has it been like for you guys sort of finding that next round of members, bringing in new members so those numbers do go up? Obviously I came down to talk about sort of like the next generation of sports field managers, stuff like that. What has it been like for you guys sort of over the years, seeing that growth and finding that next generation of, again, members, employees, whatever it is, that you guys have been over the last few years?
Sorry, you good, Robbie? You would go ahead.
No, I'll say go ahead. I was going to just acknowledge that that's one of our biggest challenges, is trying to figure out how to reach more people. We use social media. We're on this podcast with you. Hopefully that will help reach some people. And the things that you're doing with your program are pretty inspirational to us too. And, I know we had a more than a few people discuss how we could incorporate some of those things into our conference or our state, or we're so open to ideas. And our committee's 8 people, Greg, 9 people, I think. We're always looking for help on that committee, and we're always looking for new ideas. And we'll try those ideas and hopefully they work. And last year we in an effort to save money, we moved to try to do all digital signage, and that's why you're starting to see more TVs versus your standard paper document handout or whatever. So, and that's been something new for us that this year didn't work out quite the way we wanted to. We missed a few things as far as notifications that we were looking to give to people, and that's something we'll come together as a committee, we'll talk about, and we'll fix that for the future, and we'll grow that particular part of the conference. But getting back to your point, that is the challenge. How do we get younger people here? How do we attract people that don't know about us, or this is the first time that they're making that drive down to the beach? We don't have a silver bullet answer. If you have one for us, we'll be happy to take it. And like, I have to give Greg a lot of credit, because I think the education is such the hardest part of all of what we do. He has to start the earliest, and that I think is a driving force to bring people to us too. So and Greg knocks that out of the park on a yearly basis. I think our education is amazing.
I mean, this year in like the panel, like having you down, Drew, going through the panel and like recruiting the next generation, like you guys nailed it on the head, man. That's what we're trying to invoke in like the whole crowd of, finding the next generation. And the next generation is really just, it's sitting amongst us right now, or in the schools right now. How do we get in front of them? How do we let them know who we are and what we do? And, there's a really lucrative career going into sports turf management across the country. How do we get that word out? But I think some of the increase that we're seeing is folks traveling in to our states that are, new employees at different outfits, or folks that didn't get they're getting to come down for the first time, because we at the beginning we get a raise of hands, like who's is this their first conference, and man, there's probably 30 people in there, and I didn't recognize hardly any of them, and you're just kind of like wondering, like, where are these people coming from? But like, it's folks like the UNCs and Clemson's and NC States and whatnot. They're bringing more people, and that's I don't know if they're like switching up with folks or just bringing more, but there's a lot more. The leads of their companies, I guess, are just bringing more people and mixing in folks, and they're helping us get that word out there too.
Yeah, our biggest draw comes from a lot of Parks and Recs departments too. I think 50 to 60% of our attendees come from Parks and Recs, and so we, trying to find things that interest those, Parks and Recs people and collegiate level people, TK through 12 people like myself, and obviously professional level is always a challenge. And anybody has any ideas, Greg's always open to. We do a call for presentations, and those all go to Greg, and we're always looking for new ideas and new topics that we can move to.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of great ones coming out with different technologies and all that. So couldn't agree with you more on just open it up to people that are interested, By the way, I saw the other day, I got an email and I saw a ballot and I saw a familiar name on it. Do you want to make your pitch for the people that are going to be listening over the next few weeks about what is it for? Is it K through 12?
Yeah, it's K through 12. I probably said TK earlier. My school starts with transitional kindergarten, and I have a joke with our rival high school down the road because they do JK, which is junior kindergarten. They say TK is not real; it's junior. But yeah, I'm running for the K through 12 board position for the National SFMA.
Congratulations, that's incredible.
It's a little scary, I'm excited about it. I think, I did the North Carolina STMA board. I was the president in 2017. I've been part of this committee with the Southeast Regional Conference since 2016 or 2017. I did little things here and there, but actually being on the committee, it started 2016, 2017. So I'm excited for a new challenge. And I think, going and helping with the SFMA is an exciting opportunity, especially with a new CEO that's coming in. Some of the things that I would like to see the SFMA do a little bit better of is comes back to chapter relations and work more with the chapter leadership and how can we market the chapters better to people. And hey, that's an industry-wide problem, right? We're trying to figure out how we can get the younger generation to do what we want to do with the long hours and the it definitely takes a certain type of person, I think, to do this. You have to love it. And I think we all do. I couldn't imagine myself doing anything else. But I would like to see the SFMA, help with resources, help, the chapters that need the help, that want the help. We're always trying to grow. And I think if we grow the chapter at the chapter level, we can help grow at the national level. And, when we're looking for our next generation of board members, I think that can be fed from, the chapter level. And if we can help develop chapter leaders, we can help develop chapters throughout the country, then we can create a larger, stronger group for all of us. So.
Truly incredible. I mean, I think there was a big pull on hiring. Oh shoot, what's her name?
Laura Simmons,
Mrs. Simmons. Yes, I heard she is big on chapters and big on making sure that everybody is not in like line or anything, but like their support through the sort of network of everything that goes into, again, what is the SFMA, and
we're all volunteers too,
Yeah, that is true,
and I'm not a marketing person, I'm not like a CEO. I don't have a CEO background. So if the SFMA can help our chapters and help our chapter leaders with some of the things that we're weaker at, I think that will benefit all of us. We're good at growing grass. We're good at, managing the facilities, and it's not all grass for all of us. Some of us have horticulture. Some of us have, the actual indoor structures too. Greg, you do a lot with the overall stadium operations. So it's, we have skills that go beyond what, our natural education and natural work experience are. But, we're not marketers. We're not business people at the heart of what we do. And so the people that need that help, anything that National SFMA can do to help those chapters, I think is only going to help us grow and be stronger.
Absolutely. I mean, I love how you bring it back to sort of the root of the source, when it comes to it's the state chapters. And there are so many people that are interested in building new state chapters. When we talk about Florida, the state is so large. Like there's obviously room to do a north and a south. There's obviously areas that we don't have any chapters. I mean, the Midwest, outside of, I could be wrong, like Iowa, I think they might have one, but like there are not that many chapters really available to sports field managers in those spaces, So not only adding to the ones that we have, but creating more so that, again, it's more of a widespread sort of, I don't even know the right term for it, but the knowledge and who we are and how we can bring in more people. I also think it also helps when the SFMA is on sort of the same terms as everyone else, as sort of bringing down policies, understanding how we can incorporate together, having easier relations from, say, your guys' conference into the national conference, being able to have those relationships, which again, I'm not saying we're not there before, but like you said, building it and making it stronger will make everything just easier, sort of creating that next step, and making more opportunities for so many more people that don't know about it, so that's awesome to hear. For those that don't know, again, you should have received an email as a member of SFMA. Make sure you go vote, and we're not telling you to vote Robbie, but we're telling you to vote Robbie. Sorry.
I appreciate that. And we were very fortunate to have a lot of support from SFMA this year, from having James Bergdahl there and having Leah Craig there. And, Leah did so much behind the scenes. I'm so thankful that she was there this year. I hope she can be a lasting presence for us. She really picked up where we needed help. She identified it before we even knew we had it. And I'm sure that comes from her years of experience working with the national SFMA at their conference. So having her was just such a big help, and we hope to continue that partnership in the future.
Truly incredible. So we'll shift a little bit away from the conference, and I'll keep it towards more of like what we were talking about in our talk specifically. What was it for each of you? And again, it doesn't matter what order. What brought you to the industry? How did you find sports field management? What was it that, again, sort of drove you to where you are now, being the people that are bringing in that next generation, providing the opportunity of the conference and so much more?
Well, for me, my dad, it all started with my dad, Mike Burgess. A lot of folks know him. He was in the business for a long time. He was one of the founding members of the South Carolina chapter, and during that time, I believe he helped North Carolina start y'all's too, back with Tommy Walson and Bill McLemore's, back in the early 2000s. And so when I grew up all around it. Yeah. I remember back in the day, tri-folding the brochures for the meetings to get them mailed out for my dad, and helping at the caravel to get the food out and everything. But I grew up always like seeing it. My dad brought home equipment all the time. He was a territory manager for several different outfits. And, so I always rode around with them to different fields. And it was probably in high school, I wasn't even geared towards sports turf or anything. He called on the Charlotte Knights there, Eddie Busquet at the time, the groundskeeper there. And I was just a game time worker. Hey, you want to come work for the summer? And yeah, all I did was chalk baselines with the chalk box and clean dugouts. That was all I did the very first year. And then I would just keep coming back because I like the camaraderie of the crew. You like hanging out. You prep and get ready to, do pregame or the drag or postgame or tarp, whatever it is, but you're ready to go, and you work really hard for that short time. And then you kind of have a lull, and, you get into doing what you're doing, but really like the camaraderie. And it just kind of snowballed up into, you can actually go to school for this. And then went and explored Clemson, didn't get into Clemson. So I was bummed. I was about a week away from sending my money into Ori Georgetown, and then I wound up getting back into Clemson somehow, and so I went that path and went to Clemson, worked on athletic grounds there the whole time. The city of Clemson Parks and Rec, and then it just I interned here at the Greenville Drive in '06, their very first season under Ray Sayer, and I got my foot in the door. Got to know the GM. You never know, like the first impression you want to leave, and I was thankful that I had a really good internship here, and it just turned into coming back right after college as the head groundskeeper at 23, and now I just finished my 14th season here, and seen a lot. Super thankful for that whole path and everyone that's helped me stay on it, and all the support that you get out of all the folks in these conferences and all the networking that you do over the years. Like, man, there's so many people I can just call up from Parks and Rec level to big leagues. I can call them up and shoot them a question, and you have an hour-long conversation with them. And I'm thankful that I'm in an industry that you can do that. I don't know. I'm sure there's others that you can, but it makes you just feel like a real sense of belonging to what you do, and couldn't be more thankful for it.
Yeah, I had a kind of a strange path to sports fields. I did grow up doing landscaping as a kid. My dad was a fireman when I was growing up, and I was around firehouses a lot when I was a kid. But when I went off to college, I had no idea really what I wanted to do. I applied to all the North Carolina schools. I got into UNCC and I got into NC State, and I originally was going to go to UNCC, and I got into their engineering program, and I wanted to build houses, I think, at the time. And the very last day possible, I went to my parents. It's like, yeah, I want to go to NC State, not UNCC. And so we rushed to the post office. We got the stuff in the mail, back when you had to do it through the slow mail system. And I got into NC State. I got in their first year program, and it was for people who really had no idea what they wanted to do. And I quickly decided that I wanted to be a psychology major. And I wanted to do that because at the time I was big into playing golf. Now, anyone who's played golf with me knows I'm a terrible golfer, so I don't know why I wanted more time to do it. But I thought if I got a psychology degree, then I could play more golf. Well, my roommate at the time just so happened to be in the turf program at NC State. And he was like, well, why don't you just bypass the whole psychology thing and get into the turf program? And so that's what I did. And I graduated from NC State in 2001 with an agronomy degree with a turf grass concentration. And my first job out of college was working with Jimmy Simpson at the Durham Bulls. And, I think I made $6 an hour that year, which wasn't a lot, even by the standards back then.
Come on.
Well, it wasn't Jimmy's fault. I mean, Jimmy was,
I know.
Jimmy had a budget, and I'm sure Jimmy made the big bucks, but Jimmy was great to work for. I learned a lot that summer. Actually was on the game crew the summer before when, him and John Turnauer were there. You could go on a list of people who worked for the Durham Bulls and kind of came out of that organization and moved on to do different things. But, $6 an hour doesn't pay a whole lot. And I'm from Charlotte, and I wanted to make my career work in Charlotte. And so that kind of pushed me to the golf course industry. I had worked at Myers Park Country Club off and on a little bit over the years. When I was in college, when I would come back home for the summers, I would go and I would work there. And it was just kind of a natural push to go back. So I went back there. I was there for about 4 years. I did some national, and I guess it was more regional, but I had my region was the Eastern Seaboard. So one day I might be in Orlando, Florida. The next day I might be in Muncie, Pennsylvania. And that was a national landscape company that I worked for. We had the banks, and that was around 08, or trying to remember when the banks crashed. I want to say that was 08. And from there, I didn't have a job. I got very fortunate that my mom knew someone who worked at Providence Day School and gave them my resume. And at the time, I had experience in landscaping, I had experience in golf, and I had experience in athletic fields. And so to them, I was a natural fit. It's worked out. I've been there for 16 years. I hope I'm there for 16, 20 more. I hope I retire from there. It's been a great place for me, and I get to do the things that I love. Going back to a kid was growing grass and managing facilities. So
Gotta love to hear the stories. It's like the Carolina boys. Honestly, everything they come together. Uh,
I never heard that story. That's pretty good, Robbie.
yeah, I've told that story to some people. Not that was the very long-winded version of it. I went back a little bit further. Usually, I just say, "Hey, I was a psychology major for a couple semesters, and then I decided to, get back into, the sports fields." But really, what drew me to it, I think, was, and I was always good at science. I'm not the greatest at math, or was not the greatest at math growing up, but I was always interested in sciences, and so I think the biology portion of sports fields is what really got me into it initially.
and I just love hearing the different stories. Because there's so many things that you just don't really expect. Like Greg, your dad being a part of it and being one of the founders, it's just so cool that it just sort of stuck with you and all your dad's footsteps and everything. And then college roommate, who would have thunk it, right? There's just so many things that like you can possibly like find. Like I've got friends that are like, I saw it on a piece of paper when I was at a college. Like that's it. There was
When I started college too, you had to use the telephones to register. Did y'all have that, Greg? Where you had to dial in and call and hope to get the right number, and then you had to.
No, I don't remember that. I remember there being a definite like time frame that you could do it, and if you were like a minute off, you're like in back of the line, and
yeah,
a little bit. I don't know how it is now, how they do it.
Now it's all online, I think.
Where I was, because I'm not as old as I look. With everything, obviously, in those stories, there are people that are a part of your sort of, again, journey, is that probably the best word for it. And I love asking this question too, because there's so many people that have been a part of your careers and everything that goes into it. Who has been there for you guys sort of the most when it comes to being a mentor, sort of guiding you down this path and bringing you to a point, again, where you guys have successful careers in 16 years, 17 years, incredible. Like, I mean, you don't see that too often in any industry, and especially this industry. People are always looking to move up, move along, like whatever it is. But what has it been for you guys, sort of that individual or individuals that have been helping you with that driving force in your career?
Well, first, my first mentor was and is Eddie Busquet at the Charlotte Knights. He's the one that got me into it. He's the one that opened my eyes. I cut my teeth on that field there. And, I went in I still to this day, I can remember walking through the gates for the very first time, and he was mowing in flip-flops. And I was thinking, this is the most beautiful place I've ever been in. I never knew that a baseball field could be like this. It was right before opening day. And so, he's the one that showed me how to maintain a professional level baseball field. And that's what I've always, driven to. I've always wanted that. And that's what I'm always striving for. And, get to exercise that every day here at the stadium at the Drive. But another one of my mentors is Mike Eccles at Clemson University over athletic grounds there. When I was working through college with him, he helped me a lot on the agronomy side of turf, but man, he just taught me a lot about life. That guy, from the get-go, he wants to know about you and your family and your day and your classes, and he wants to know the person in you and how he can develop that and how he can share Christ through you. He's one of the most stand-up guys I've ever met, and he's one that to this day I can still call up anytime and shoot the shit with him all day, and like we never lost the beat. So those two guys are probably the main ones that really help kind of steer me in the right direction.
Yeah, I've had so many people help me out throughout the years. I definitely have to say Jimmy helped me with my introduction. Jimmy and I were classmates at the time, and that introduction, with the Durham Bulls was really what fostered my love for sports fields over golf. When I was on the golf course, I was always trying to find a way to get back to sports fields. Wasn't sure how it was going to happen, but I knew that's where my passion really lied. But even with that said, Sam Murphy, the director of golf that I worked for at Myers Park Country Club, really entrusted a lot of responsibility in me at a very young age. Budget work, fertility work, crew management. I mean, you name it. And he really taught me how to manage a crew. He really taught me how to manage a golf course. And without him, I don't know that I would have been able to advance on, within my career. He was really a big inspiration. He passed away this past year, but he was a big inspiration for me, and really gave me my first real big bump in my career as far as responsibility, and as far as, hey, this is a career, and this is, if you want to do this at a high level, then these are the steps that you need to take to be able to do it. So, but there were, I have to say, everyone on the conference committee that Greg and I are a part of, I take something from all of those guys. Greg, just being around them before I was a part of the committee and seeing how they handled themselves and seeing how they were able to put on this larger than life conference. I learned a lot from that group as well. So, and I have to throw Bill McLemore out here too. My first few years at Providence Day School, I don't know that I would have been able to have gotten anything done without borrowing all that equipment from Country Day School. So, Bill, thank you. I don't know how I'll ever repay, all that you allowed me to borrow, but, thank you for all that help. And, again, it's just, there's so many people that you could think and name. It's hard to, on the spot to single out, all the different people that helped you.
Oh, yeah.
Couldn't agree with you more on that one. I don't know if you got, so the 100th episode that we had a couple episodes ago, my kids were the ones that ran it, and they got to pick the guests and everything. And I got in here expecting like all these industry professionals, and I was the guest. So when I was answering that one, I was like, oh shoot, there is a lot of people on this list. So I couldn't agree with you more on that. And again, it all sort of comes back to that camaraderie, just honestly, like there are so many guys that I really don't know more than just meeting like once or twice, or meeting on a few occasions, that again, like I would consider my brothers just because of who they are and how I've gotten to know them. And it's just, it's incredible what this industry can do, because like you said, Greg, you don't know if other industries actually do, but you really don't think there are many that can, with our unique size and everything. Like it's something that I think truly should be the driver when it comes to recruiting people. Like you need to understand that the people in this industry have your back no matter what. Now there might be some 2 or 3 people out of the blue that might have issue with you, but like when you're talking about as a whole, everyone will pick up the phone. Everybody will help you with whatever issues you're having. It's incredible what we've developed in this industry as a whole. So again, it's always great to hear who has had an impact in everyone's career. So, I couldn't agree with you more on all that. When it comes to obviously being a member of SFMA, you guys are obviously one of the top tiers when it comes to being a member and providing more opportunities past just the national membership. What has it been like for you to be a part of SFMA as a whole, and how has that impacted your career sort of in, again, the time frame, obviously all the different places you guys have worked, and just what you've been able to accomplish in your career through your membership in the national SFMA?
Well, gosh, I think it was last year I got my 15th year pin, I guess it was, and it just crazy how quick it goes. But just thinking back to all the conferences that I've gone to at national, they've progressed, and I progressed as a person going to those. I remember the first one, it was not knowing what to do because there was so much variety. And I'm going to every class, like one after another, boom, 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 trying to get in as much as I can. And then you start getting a little bit more relaxed of understanding, like structuring your days and, getting the most out of what you need while making those connections and networking that you've developed each year. But I think the main thing when I go to national and I'm, seeing SFMA is just the continuous of content. They are the cutting edge. What's new out there is what they're presenting, and that's kind of the driving force that I want with our conference. And but to see all those other turf professionals in there and just watching how they hold themselves, like you learn so much from that. I remember going to it was a professional level networking session, and it was Alan Johnson for the Packers was talking, and just some of the different content that we went through that day, it just it and it just kind of opened my eyes on how to present yourself and how you want to present your organization. And I think just in a professional level standpoint, it really helped me in that regard.
I think for me, it's very rejuvenating. You get to see people at all different levels. For me being at the K through 12 level, getting to see that someone at professional level has the same kind of issues or day-to-day, problems that I have, because you can start to revere, these people based off of their fields. And then when you get to know them and realize that they're just like you. And for me, it's very rejuvenating. When I go back to work, I feel, like I've made the right choice in life. I feel, ready to hit the ground running. You get to talk to people from all over the country about all kinds of different things and realize that, we're all very similar. We all have very similar interests. We all, we're all a lot alike. And it's just that, like, camaraderie. It's a tough word to say. It just, it helps propel you forward and helps get you excited about the career that you chose again. Because things, when you do things for 16, 20 years, repetitive things over and over again, it, sometimes takes a little push for it not to be stale. And, going to the regional conferences, the chapter meetings, or even a national conference, that really helps to rejuvenate you and get you ready to go again.
I love how you use the word rejuvenating, because it really is. When you talk about being run down, having a rough go, like maybe it was a bad season, maybe the grass is struggling, and you just had a rough year, and you go in and you see everybody you love, you get to talk about things you help with, things that you can improve upon, and it just sort of like, refresh. Here we go. Let's hit it again, hit the ground running, Now with that, obviously, again, it's important to have resources, have people there to help you when you need to. What is it that specifically for you guys is your driving force? There are so many different parts of your jobs that no one knows about. There are so many different things that we could talk about for hours on end and not even get to the turf portion of it, that can cause problems, cause stress, cause different things. What is it that motivates you every morning to get out of bed, go to work, and love what you do every single day? I see you trickling, Greg.
For me, I'll go first this time, Greg. But I mean, for me, I chose something that I really love to do. And what's the old saying? If you
love what you do, you don't work a day in your life.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that adage really fits. I mean, I like the people that I'm around. I can't speak enough about how great of an organization that Providence Day School is, and how big of a family it, with all the faculty. My wife works there also. My son goes to school there. So, that really, just getting it, kind of put all that into words is kind of tough at times, but just being able to do what you like to do and be around people that you enjoy being around, it makes it so much easier, even after a tough week or a tough month or even a tough year. You really, the people you work with, they grow to be extended family members, and that makes it just so rewarding and easy to do.
Yeah, I think what gets me here is just that. Like, I want to be out on the field. My office is a 2-acre field, that I get to go to every day, and I'm out in the sunshine, fresh air, playing in the dirt, watering grass, mowing grass, doing all that. And that's where I always want to get to. Every day I want to do that. And that's just that natural love that I have for it. And how it is now, a lot of my days aren't on the field or having to worry about things in the stadium, which is a whole nother area that I deal with that, is not turf related at all, but I'm a problem solver, and I can think outside the box, and I can put together processes and figure out logistics. And, a lot of those skills that we have as turf managers just translated into what I do in the stadium. And a lot of that consumes me, but the drive to get out on the field, like I've got everything in the stadium where I need it, thanks to my crews and my staff. But like, if I can get out on the field and I'm the mow guy for the day, like I would love it, or I'm the guy on the hose. But really, what drives me is like I get to share this place with all those people. Like the staff that I have in the stadium, they get to see. They put their pride and blood, sweat, and tears all into this place, the same as we do on the field. And for them to take that ownership and to see it and see them grow is awesome. And then on the field, seeing guys on my crew like old and young and new or returning, whatever, like you can see it in them that they enjoy it just as much as you, and just to be able to share that is very rewarding. And you come in a lot of days, most days I would say, you think like you're the luckiest guy in the world, to be able to do this. So just want to be able to share that with others. I wish I could get more people in here, that way they can get the same viewpoint as me.
You guys are awesome. I love those. Those are those are so cool. Like being able to share that sort of, again, like just wanting to be there. That's half the battle when it comes to keeping people in this industry. And it shouldn't be part of the battle. It should be something that comes natural, and that's who we're looking for. So, and again, I love how, Greg, you took it like a whole nother step with these are the things that I'm good at and I enjoy doing, and problem solving, all these things. People don't really look at their jobs like that, even though it's just sort of second nature. So I truly appreciate that. So we sort of wrap it up on these last two questions, which they tend to carry along. So that's why I'm gonna start. I don't want to keep you guys too long. With everything, when you first start in this industry, what is one thing, and it's not to make things easier or harder or whatever it is, it's just you wish you knew one thing when you first started this industry, what would that one thing be and why?
I would say the one thing that I wish that I knew from the get-go of becoming head groundskeeper here was just how to better relate to others. I would say my very first year, I was a very hothead. I was young guy in town, but I knew what I wanted, and it was either that way or the highway, and that would fuel tensions in other areas that didn't need to be there. And then learn that I don't have to be that way to get what I need. I really reverted back to kind of what I am now. Is I try to be calm, cool, and collected, at all times. If it could be middle of the ninth inning and like a shitstorm start happening, a thunder and lightning, like you got to be cool, because everyone's going to be looking for you for the answer. And if your reaction or your response is negative or chaotic or whatever, that's just going to fuel everyone else. So you just have to be able to stay cool and keep a cool head on things and not let emotions get into it.
Can y'all hear my 1-year-old in the background?
We got you.
I would echo very similar things that Greg just said. I think for me, letting people help you, that you don't have to do everything, is a tough one to learn. The biggest one for me, what was tough was not to take everything personally, and regardless of what decision is made, or from wherever the decision came from, whether it was someone on the crew or someone above you in management, everyone's trying to make a decision that's best for the organization as a whole, and sometimes that helps you and sometimes it doesn't, and you just got to roll with the punches and keep moving forward. And that one, that one's probably the hardest one for me, is don't take things personally, because we all we're all in a position to make decisions, right? We want the decisions that we make to be the correct ones, and sometimes they are and sometimes they're not. So you just got to kind of roll with it.
Definitely. And I think I've spoken to this a few times, is with the calm, cool, and collected with those younger kids, like it makes a difference, so I think it's incredible, again, sort of understanding like that's critical to maintaining a crew, maintaining sort of that camaraderie and everything. I know I take everything personally. That's a problem that I always have had. So it's like,
Yeah, I'm in
I'm
the
not
same
gonna
boat.
go after anybody, but like if somebody says something to me, I'm like, oh crap, like I need to fix this. Like so
Yeah.
I know like my bosses over the years, like they never took my head off, and that made me always like, oh, I just broke the $30,000 mower. You're not mad? Okay. It's like
Patience
that's
has been a big one for me too. I'm
Yeah.
not the most patient person in the world, and just learning to, uh, I like to have things. If there's a conflict, I like to resolve it quickly. I don't like to wait. And sometimes, especially in a corporate type organization, you might have a meeting set for a week after whatever the issue was, and so you kind of have to stew on that for a week. So just learning patience, or you know, across the board, that's been a big one for me.
yes, for sure. I don't have that still. Sorry.
Oh, I'm still learning it.
Yeah. Good days and bad days.
People say I feel like I have no patience, but then again, I do think about the fact that I do teach high school students how to manage fields. So in a way, I think I might have a little bit of patience. So
For sure.
it's always a good thing to remind myself, like, oh, you do have patience. It just doesn't.
And I give you a lot of credit for that, because I'm not a teacher. I've learned that I'm not very good at teaching people how to do things. And so I'm learning to let people, put them in good situations and give them the tools they need, and help them kind of learn on their own.
That's a
But
teacher. I'm gonna
with a
tell you,
little guidance.
that is teaching. I know it's not a full-fledged 20-person classroom, but that is teaching. And most sports field managers are very good teachers. They just don't think they are, or know that they are. So again, I think that's a big thing. Something I did want to ask earlier that I forgot. Personally, for you two, out of this past conference, what did you guys get out of it, and what do you see sort of moving forward, sort of taking that, whether it's back to work, whether that's furthering your each, obviously South Carolina, North Carolina groups, or just the whole conference as a whole? Is there anything that you two personally that you got out of this event specifically? Sorry to pinball around like that, but
Um, I mean, the one thing that I got out of it was completely from, the first couple hours of our conference was from the keynote, Pete Smith talking about Dare to Matter, and then you guys talking on recruiting the next generation. That's where I feel like I've kind of got a new fire lit in me that I want to go down that path. You were excellent in explaining out, how you started your program up there, and some of the steps that we should take in our own state, and we're looking to do just that. I think that we can develop a group that can kind of help spearhead those efforts in our states, and hopefully make it a regional thing, and just keep expanding from there. But we want to kind of get that groundwork, and that's what you helped us kind of visualize better, and that's where I want to be able to make it more clear, and so everybody in every county can utilize the resources that are already there to begin with, and then just to find out how far can you take it. And I think if we can get on that right path, then that's where a lot of our next generation is going to come from. And that's awesome. I'm excited about it. I was getting excited when we were doing our Zoom calls before, and then to have the actual conference and the panel, like it all came together. And again, you guys crushed it, and I'm pumped to continue that piece on.
I always get really excited just to get to the conference. We, like I said earlier, we start in February planning everything, and it happens so quickly. Once we get down there, everything just comes together, and especially coming out of COVID, we weren't really sure what was going to happen. Last year, our attendance was way down, and this year we not only had a lot of new people come, we had a lot of people come back. And I think that's just, when we talk about growing, I think that's one of the more important things is getting our core people to come back. And, I think we saw that this year. And again, we had some things that we need to work on to keep continuing to make the on-site experience better. But just getting through it, and I wish we could do it all the time. I hate that it's just like one week out of the year and then it's over.
Yeah.
So, it's a lot of fun, and I I like being a part of the conference committee and being a part of putting on the conference and doing a lot of the things behind the scene. I find that very rewarding and fun, and being a part of the group that gets to put that on
Yeah.
is it's exciting, and you get down there, you get to see all your friends and have fun and learn and network for a week, and man, it's over so quick.
Love it. That's what, and again, a lot of people don't comprehend is the passion you guys have for not just the North Carolina, South Carolina, the South region, just for our industry as a whole. That's what's going to drive everything the right direction. We, even if it's a try and a fail, it's the fact that everybody is putting forth the effort and trying to bring more people or benefit others that are already in the industry. That's what this is all about, and that's truly what I enjoyed the most out of all of it, is seeing you guys and the passion you guys have for what you're built down there and how you continue to grow. So I can't thank you enough for allowing me to be a part of it. I had an absolute blast. So we ended on this question, and it sort of segues from Greg, your response. If there was one thing that you would tell, say, a student of mine who's looking to enter the industry, whether that's going to college, entering the industry right out of high school, what would be your best words of advice for them, sort of entering this fresh, into, again, what we love?
I'll go, Greg. I would say take chances, and don't be afraid to take those chances. And I look at some of the guys that traveled a lot in their career and went from coast to coast. I didn't do that in my career. I wanted to make my career work in Charlotte, and I've done that, and I'm proud of having been able to do that. But if I could do something different, I would go to England and I would see how they're managing soccer fields in England. I would go to the West Coast and see how they're managing things on the West Coast, and the Northeast, Texas, Florida, the Midwest. I would just go all over the country, and don't be afraid to take risks. Don't be afraid to take challenges. And just because a door shuts doesn't mean another one won't open. So just put yourself out there and explore what this industry has, because there's so much that goes on. There's so many fun things that you can be involved in, and you just got to put yourself out and go for it.
Yep. I was going to say, one thing that I wish that I did was intern around more places, work different places rather than upstate South Carolina, and got out to see how other folks do things. But much like what you say, Robbie, I would say, like, ask questions, ask if you can do something. Can I jump on the mower today? More times than not, like me, what, let's do it.
Right, let's see.
There's a lot of things that you never know what you're going to do until you can ask and actually put yourself in it, and you don't know if you're good at anything. So, have the confidence to do that, to ask and do some of the work. A lot of people are, interns or game timers that come out here. They have no clue what they're doing. I can go tell them to put a bag of dirt on the plate, or on the base pass or something, and there's a certain way you can do it. There's a million different ways you can do it, but like, make it yours, and have confidence in the way that you do things. And there's a lot of kids that come through that they're super smart, they're bright, they're respectful of everything, but they're a little too reserved, and they just need to kind of get outside their comfort zone and outside of that shell. And then once you do that, man, once you get confidence out on a baseball field or on any sports field, like, it will just continue to grow, and others see that. And that just only helps other folks know, like, man, now this guy, I know that he can go do this, and I ain't got to worry about it. And that as a manager is so comforting, knowing that you have folks that you don't have to worry about and that want to go out there and do well. So yeah, that'd be it.
Love both of those responses. That I will say, like, it's hard to get someone out of their ways. Like, internships, like, a lot of people are just like, oh, you're going to go do the shit work, or like stuff that you're not really going to enjoy. Like, if you ask, like, more than likely people are gonna be like, okay, he's interested. We want people like this, like,
yeah.
If you give a kid even a little bit, they're going to go, oh, wow. You know what I mean? So again, I couldn't agree with you more on that. When it comes to, again, sort of that next generation as well. Like, our kids are painting fields 24/7. I'm like, I'm not painting it all by myself. You crazy? Uh,
I would say too, don't be afraid to do the little jobs. Don't be
100%.
afraid to, whatever job it is that you're doing. If you're on the weed eater and you think it's the most menial job on the crew, like do it with the same passion you would as being the guy riding around on the mower, because at some point in your career, you're going to be the manager, or you're going to be over someone, and it is so important to be able to say, "Hey, I did that." That I what you're doing right now, I've done that. I know that it sucks. I did it all summer, or I did it for however many years. So it's very important to be able to take pride in every little aspect of what you're doing.
Yeah, that's something my first boss, Casey Underwood at Tech, he was very pet peeve was landscaping. Everything had to be perfect. So a lot of the guys were doing edging, weed eating, edging beds every day. I'm like, this is getting a little ridiculous. There's 2 blades of grass growing in the bed right now. This is not worth my time. But like, again, like you said, have passion for whatever you're doing, whatever that is, bring that to the table on all fronts, and that'll carry you through whatever hardship comes your way, and especially as a crew, that's big. So, well, I want to thank you guys so much. This was fantastic. And again, I can't thank you enough for having me down. I had an absolute blast. It was great meeting both of you and getting to know you guys. And if you guys ever need anything, I am just a phone call away with whatever it is. So again, I can't thank you enough.
Well, we hope that you come back again next year and bring a few more people from Virginia with you too. And
We'll try.
And hey, bring your students. If I know they're probably in school at the time, but
maybe do a presentation with the kids, get people excited to see it from their eyes. If you guys are interested in that, we've done it before, so just let us know. Kids,
we can always set up a Zoom of some sort with for one of your classes too. So we can help in any way that you need us. I really appreciate that, guys. As always, thank you so much.
Absolutely.